What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Run Pure Sports MLB Swing for the Fences show. I'm your host, Mangone, and I am back with two of my buddies. I think this is 3 shows in a row for us. We will kick it off with you first. Titletown, you're all dressed up in the RPS gear. I see the gear on. I see the background. So you're swagged out. How's it going over there, man?
Hey, it's going well. Got my gear today. It's great. Nice hat, nice shirt. Ready to roll. Big day for RPS today. Basketball going on right now. Baseball coming up. Got MMA coming up as well. So a lot of money to be made, and it's going to be a good Saturday.
All right, we'll kick it off to you, JT. You are not repping the swag, at least that's what it seems like right now. I still don't have mine. Oh, you do have yours. So I'm the only person without swag, it sounds like. Everyone in our chat was saying that they had swag. I'm the only person who doesn't have it. Big T's probably just trolling me. And you got a new backdrop there, a different stadium. So we'll have to figure out which one that is as the show goes on. So JT, how's it going over there?
Yeah, going good. I just pulled this out of the FedEx bag that Big T was so kind enough to make the run and send. Fits great. Feels very nice. So we'll see if we can get some likes in chat and give away another one of these. And for me, at least, looking for a nice rebound day. Stacks disappointed last night, at least my top 2. So, but we're on to Saturday. So it's good to be back.
Yep, definitely good to be back. I'm excited. I definitely think this is a overall pretty good slate, but it's not the easiest slate, right? I don't think it's cut and dry. And there's a lot of different routes that you can go. Obviously, if it's your first time playing Coors yesterday, you got to experience it a little bit. You thought the game was good, and then not so fast. The 8th, 9th inning, 7th inning just went nuts. That's what Coors Field does, especially with bullpens. So. I'm excited to obviously talk about another Coors Field slate. They're always fun. They're always exciting. And the game theory behind it is always interesting. And the tilt is the best part, right? When it's a 2-0 game in like the 8th inning, DFS Twitter is not happy about the Coors slate unless you faded the game. Let's dive in and let's just talk about this slate and let's talk about the pitchers. And I'm going to head over to you, Titletown. Kick it off. How are you approaching the top end range in cash games?
Yeah, so on FanDuel, when the one pitcher site, I'm actually not finding myself paying up. I like someone down below better to get me Coors bats, so I'm going to be avoiding it. But I do like Glasnow and Carrasco if you are paying up in tournaments. And on 2 pitcher sites, I'm leaning Glasnow a little bit. I like his K upside a little more, but I do like Carrasco as well. Still deciding in cash. I'm thinking on Draftkings I'm going to pair Glasnow, though, with the lower price option. We can still get enough bats, and I want at least some safety up top. So I'll have Glasnow, I think, on DraftKings, and then on FanDuel, I'm not going to play anyone at the higher price in cash.
All right. How about you, JT? This top end range, again, it's like these pitchers, they're expensive. And like, I feel like one of the common themes, like, yeah, I want to pay for Garrett Cole, but I don't want to pay for some of these pitchers. I mean, so, like Carrasco, he's not the greatest. I mean, Glasnow, I don't mind paying for it. The matchup is good, but there is some weather. Glasnow's my favorite at the top. Is he your favorite at the top?
Yeah, Glasnow's my favorite, and what, at least anyway so far, it doesn't look like we're going to see a situation like last night where you have one guy at 70% ownership in Castillo. So Glasnow looks to be coming in actually a little bit under another pitcher who's a little bit of a surprise to me that we'll get to. But you talked about the higher range, right? I mean, if I'm going to pay 10-8 for a pitcher, it's going to be someone that I think is going to go 7-8 innings and strike out a bunch of guys. And that's not Zach Greinke. He was throwing in the mid-80s in his last start. So I don't know if that's going to continue or not. But Angels don't strike out a lot. They don't have a great lineup tonight. But I don't think I'm going to be going there. I'm a little bit lower on Carrasco. I just great start last time out against Kansas City. Minnesota's a lot better offensively than that team. And I worry about the consistency of a guy coming back and making that first start and throwing a bunch of pitches. How's he going to react? So Glasnow is my top option pretty easily.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. I just think he makes, a ton of sense as being the top option at pitcher today. He obviously, we talked about Carrasco a little bit, he makes a ton of sense at the top. And the one thing that's nice, at least, is the price tag on these guys. They're a little more affordable. Like Greinke and, or Urias, like 9.9K and 10.8K. I'll go back to you, JT. I mean, what do you do with these guys? I mean, Zach Greinke, he gets to go against an Angels offense that's troutless, which is great. And then Urias, I mean, I'm not really scared of the Diamondbacks too much. So are they interesting tournament pivots?
Yeah, I mean, Greinke and also Ohtani looks like I think maybe he's pitching tomorrow, so he's not in the lineup either. It's something the Angels did last year is they started Ohtani on Sundays, and looks like that's the way they're going this year too. Even with a weaker lineup, I'm still not real interested in Greinke. I don't know if I'm going to get to him at all, to be honest, in my player pool. He also, if you wanted to play two really good pitchers or decent pitchers, at least, that you think you have a chance to get you between 20 and 30 points on this slate, his price makes it very difficult. You're not going to be going Coors a lot there unless you go way down to the bottom. So I don't know about him. Urias is not interesting to me at 9.9. If he was maybe 8.5, I'd be a little bit interested in that. But again, at 10K, you've got a manager in Roberts that has shown that he's not going to let him go deep into games. I don't think that he's going to go deep tonight. And the Diamondbacks don't strike out a ton against left-handed pitchers. They haven't been this year. So I'm not really interested in Urias either as a pivot tonight. I think there are some better mid-range pivots.
All right, Titletown, I want to kick it back to you, and I want to do it because let's talk about some of this weather. Tampa Bay and Baltimore, they have some weather issues there. Do you still think we can play Glass now in cash games? I mean, again, like I know you play more on FanDuel, so you don't have to lock yourself into one, but on DK where you have to play two. I think Glass now is definitely a stronger play over there, and he's not that hard to get in. So what are you doing with the weather there with Glass?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. So I'm looking right now. It's still too far until lock to make a decision for me. I'm going to keep an eye on the weather. I follow a couple people on Twitter who are really good about it. So I'm going to see what they have to say. If there's a chance for delay in the earlier innings, I'm not going to take that risk in cash. It's just not worth it. If they're talking maybe a delay in the 7th inning or later, maybe like by the end of the game, rain starts coming, I'm going to take the chance because we only need the 6 innings or whatever he's going to get anyway. He is my favorite pitcher to pay up for. So we got to keep an eye on weather. I'm not a weatherman, so I don't know for sure. You know the radar a little better than me, so maybe you can help us out, Mangone. But just going to look closer to lock to make that decision. We'll be in Discord, and we can let you know that as well.
Yeah, I was just about to make fun of you and say, I can't believe you say you follow a few guys about the weather, and I'm right here. Like, I got it. I'm 1 for 1 on the weather. So I don't know. I'll have to look at the radar and figure it out. But we'll have to see. And again, it's in Baltimore, right? So, and one guy in our chat, actually, this was something he mentioned, and he's from Baltimore, the guy in chat in Discord. He said that this always happens with the weather. He's like, it always fades. He always said that. That's what something that he said that I thought was interesting. And I'm not saying that, that happens every single time, but I'll definitely probably look at radar again myself just for some fun. JT, does that change anything for you with Glass now? I don't know how much you knew about the weather before. Obviously, we have to track it and see what happens, but there could be some weather issues. So will that affect your decision making?
Yeah, I think if I can tell that there's going to be some significant weather early in that game, but what I'm looking at now, there's a site called Dark Sky that I look at, and it looks like it's fairly clear until around 9:30, 10 o'clock. At least that's what it looks like now. There's some differing opinions, but if I can get a clear window until 9:30 even with the way that I think this game is going to go, I'm going to stay with Glass now because I do think he's the clear top option. And if I have to get off him, then, I'm going to have to make some decisions and go to a different pitcher that, I still like, but don't like him as much as Glass now. I just think the strikeout upside here with this Baltimore team against Glasnow's Arsenal is too good to not give up unless I have to.
Listen, JT, you got to tell me, Dark Sky, what is this? Is this a site I should be going to? Are you sending me to some illegal site? What is this Dark Sky? Is this better than weather.com? Why do you like this more?
I wouldn't do that to you, Mangone. I wouldn't send you anywhere illegal. So you can count on that. No, it's an app. It's an app. Dark Sky app. It does an hour by hour. And I found it to be fairly accurate, a little bit more accurate than the little weather icon on your Apple phone. So I like it a lot. I used it a lot. Locally here, it's been pretty good, and I used it a lot for when I was sticking it out in the middle of the night for the KBO. So it served me well.
All right. Well, you got JT here. He is, we're not sponsored by Dark Sky, but JT is giving it some love. I don't know if he's getting a Dark Sky hat coming in the mail soon. No idea, but I'll definitely check it out, and I'll give it a look to kind of check out that weather. Let's dive in and talk about the mid-range pitchers. And Titletown, let me go to you. Mid-range. I think there's a lot of good arms. So, tell me which one is your favorite of all these and what you're doing with them.
Yeah, so this isn't a range I really find myself landing in cash if we're talking about the 7K, 8K range. But I do like Mike Fiers a little bit. I don't think he's going to be too highly owned, and I always will pick on the Mariners. So at 7K, it feels a little expensive. I wouldn't go crazy, but I don't think he's going to be high owned. And Mike Fiers, he's a decent pitcher, ground ball or fly ball pitcher, but I'm not worried about the Mariners. So I like that a little bit. And then Kenta Maeda at 7,900, I also like. I think the Twins give him good run support so he can get the win. Cleveland's not very scary. The bottom of the order isn't great. And Kenta Maeda isn't bad either. So 7,900, I like those two a little bit for tournaments in the mid-range. But I'm not looking at anyone in cash.
All right. What about you, JT? Again, the mid-range pitcher, I don't think it's the best spot. I think Tyler Chatwood jumps out to me if you consider him mid-range. I think he'd be an interesting tournament option. How about you?
Yeah, I'm with Zach on Fiers. I think it's a good spot. It's a pretty good rebound spot. His price came down quite a bit, at least on DK. So I like that a bit. There's another guy that I'm looking at a little bit, and tonight for me at least, my pitching pool is going to be a little bit bigger, just because I don't have a great feeling for these guys in the SP2 range. So it's going to be a little bit more. I'm going to be taking some shots because in tournaments I'm going to be looking at ownership, and I'm going to be going with some guys that are going to be under 5% owned. Mitch Keller is one of those guys against Chicago. He's got some strikeout upside. The Cubs are a good offense, but they swing and miss. And again, the weather there is a better night for pitching tonight a little bit. That game in LA is a 4:00 start, and 4:00 start means some shadows for the first hour and a half. So I don't mind. I might have 3 to 5% Griffin Canning. I think he's a good pitcher. I don't like picking on the Astros, but again, it's pretty bare. The rest of these pitchers, there's a bunch of them that I crossed off just not knowing how many innings they're going to go. The guy Smiley, who a lot of people like, looks like he's going to be about 45% owned. I don't know what I'm going to do with him yet. It's a good matchup. Texas strikes out a bit. He strikes guys out. But again, to me, it comes down to that lineup. If Texas is smart and they put out a lineup where it's kind of either lefty-righty or two lefties and a righty, and I can have some feeling that, okay, Gabe Kapler is going to get a little bit wacky here and pull him early, then I might stay away from him. But that's really about it. I think Chatwood, Pittsburgh early on, 28% strikeout rate. He looked good in his last start. I'm not going to have too much of any of these guys. I'm just going to have more pitchers than I normally do because I'm just not sure tonight.
Well, all I know is if Big T was on this show, I don't think he'd condone this Fiers play because snitches get stitches, according to Big T. And Mike Fiers is a snitch. So, first start back. Is there a narrative where the Seattle Mariners, the worst team in the league, just absolutely shell him? Is that a narrative we can get behind anyone?
I'm not taking that. That's a little far stretch.
We'll have to see. Maybe that'll be my stack of the night at this point. Maybe I'll go that far. Probably won't. Obviously, I like the Coors game. That's where I'll be loading up on my bats. But I just thought that was funny. First start back. We'll have to see how it goes for Mr. Fiers. Let's talk about the cheap pitchers. And, I think you mentioned some stuff on Smiley. Titletown, how about you bring him up? I know he's someone that you're looking at. I think he's going to be someone that you're going to, roster a ton of. Talk about him and then talk about some other guys you might pivot to instead.
Yeah, so Smiley and Cash on both sites. He's my favorite pitcher. Just too cheap, has good strikeout upside, good matchup, gets you the Coors bats you want. Just makes sense today. The Rangers lineup is out. They're rolling with two lefties and Odor and Gallo, and then they got all righties. Lineup doesn't look very scary to me, JT. I don't know if you've seen it yet or pulling it up, but doesn't look scary or intimidating to me. Smiley just is too cheap, so I'll be all over him. There are other pivots in that range I don't really love. I'm a chalk guy. I just love Smiley that much. Mitch Keller is the one that I can get behind a little bit, but the Cubs offense is good. So it's not something that I love, but Mitch Keller is actually a pretty solid pitcher and serviceable. So if his stuff's on, I think he can have a good performance for low ownership, but I like Smiley a lot.
I mean, listen, I like Smiley, but the word's a lot. I think that might be a little too much, Zach. I mean, a lot. Like the game's on the line, you want Smiley on the bump?
I mean, for a Coors Field slate to get me the roster construction wise, I'm going to bet on the bats at Coors. So when I say a lot for the price and on this slate, I mean, there's not Cole or anything up there. So a lot on this slate, yeah, that might be stretching it a little bit, but hey, all in Smiley today.
Yeah, I mean, listen, that's perfectly fine. The reason you're doing it is you want to make sure to, like JT, sometimes you got to mix in a salad, right? You have it here and there. You're doing it so you can get the burger. You want the meat. You want the Rockies, right? You want the Padres. That's what you want in the meat of your lineups, right, JT? That's why you're playing guys like Smiley here.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'll go a little bit lower than him. He's had 3 relief appearances. I think his last appearance was either 3 2/3, or he might have gone into the 4th in that one. And it's just, for me in tournaments, the question that I face with a guy like Smiley at 45% is he going to have the type of performance where if I don't have him, I'm dead? And I don't think he's going to do that tonight, but I think, you and Zach are right. He could probably do enough for you guys in cash to allow you to get up to the bats that you want. So, I have made a final decision on it. It's tough. Whenever you have these managers who show weird tendencies, it's just tough to commit. So I don't know that I'll fully fade him, but I don't know how heavy I'll be on him.
Yeah, I get it. And listen, like, this is a spot where in tournaments, if you're playing them, I get it. If he's a chalky option and he's cheap, he's not the best pitcher, I get why you don't want to play him. And I think in tournaments, there's reasons to pivot to other guys. You can make moves. You can go to like a Gio Gonzalez, right? I wouldn't suggest going to like Lucchesi, trying that. I think that's a mistake against the Rockies. But, take some shots down here. Even a guy like Kikuchi against the Oakland A's, I think he could be enticing. Again, we're not looking for like a massive game out of those guys. And if Smiley goes for -15 and say like a Kikuchi, let's say he goes for, I don't know, like 10 points, that could definitely be worth it at 5.1K. Wouldn't you agree, JT?
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's kind of why I'm saying that my pitcher pool is going to be a little bigger tonight. Is I'm going to basically focus on the offenses that I really like, and I'm going to mix in. I'll probably have more Glasnow and Fires, and then mix in a bunch of these other guys and see if I can get the right combination. That kind of running 150 affords you the ability to do that. And on a night like tonight, where I just really don't feel strongly about any of these other pitchers, that's the route I'm going to go. And you mentioned there's a couple of cheapies that, you get 10, you get 12, you're pretty happy. I think you did all right last night, and you got 8 out of your SP2. So, some nights it can work.
Yeah, JT, I cashed in GPPs, so I didn't take them down. I still got there, and again, the reason I did it was because I wanted to get these bats, and it was looking ugly until the 7th, trust me. But it ended up getting there, and I'm going to go back to that because again, it's not that I like these pitchers at the bottom; it's that the guys at the top are interesting. Let's kind of close up pitching. Titletown, I'll go to you. Give me your top 3 arms to look at that you're going to be rostering.
Smiley, Glasnow, and Carrasco.
All right, JT, how about you? Who are going to be your top 3 pitchers?
Yeah, it's probably Glasnow, Fires, and I'm going to go to the bottom. I'm going to have some Wade LeBlanc. I'm going to have some Kikuchi. I may have 5% Freeland at under 1% ownership. He hasn't done awful in Coors, and I don't think anybody's going to own him. So it's just a pivot off of what I see as high ownership for Kikuchi. But again, I'm talking like 7 out of 150 lineups. I'm not advocating, play these guys a bunch. And I think I'll mix in some Chatwood and Keller and maybe Smiley.
All right, let's move on to breaking down some of these bats. But before we do that, let's see where we're at on show. We got 98 people, and it's the weekend, right? People are busy. They're hanging out. They're doing the MMA. I know Titletown's all on the MMA. They're doing a ton of stuff, right? The weekend can be a little lighter. We need 20. We're 27 likes. So what do you want to put the likes to give out some swag? I don't think the guy who won yesterday actually reached out. I don't know if I saw it. Maybe I missed it. I'll have to go back and look. But Titletown, how about you set the line? What do you want to set the line at? We got 103 people watching and 29 likes. What do you want to put it at?
I just gave it a like. How about asking 5 more minutes? We gotta get more people, a little more likes up there, and then I'll set a line. Can't set a line yet.
All right.
Too many people are watching without any likes, so I mean it's a bad ratio. You got to get it up a little bit, and then I'll make a line.
Yeah, and we were just at 22, and now we're at 40, 41. So that's good, right? Getting that love helps. Yeah. Do you want to set the line now?
Give us 70, 77. Little Luka action.
All right,
the baseball show.
All right, 77. We'll go with that. We also got people talking in the chat about Giannis. I mean, you guys are just oh man.
Oh, that's me in the chat.
About Giannis, you and one of these other guys, JT. Let me get your take. So I'm not a big Giannis guy. I mean, yeah, he's fun for fantasy, but the guy can't shoot, and he's not going to win a title in the next 2 years, and that's just that. No one can accept that. JT, where are you on Giannis? Are you a fan or are you not a fan?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't go crazy with him. He's not my favorite player. He's super talented. He's obviously got a lot of skill. Shooting, as you mentioned, is not one of those skills. But the athleticism, and he's fun to watch. He plays hard, and that's about all I'll say about him.
Yeah, I mean, it's just these people in the chat kill me, back-to-back MVP, all the Yo, he's good at all that. And you know why we give him MVP? We give him MVP because we don't want to give it to LeBron anymore. It's just boring. It's plain and simple. He's the best in the league.
There's a new dude coming up that's changing the game. Watch out. Giannis is that man. He's that man.
If he can shoot, but I mean, you're gonna be crying in 2 years when
he's getting there. He had a nice pull up three, wet. You wet it at the top of the key. Hey, it's getting there. He works too.
We'll see. We'll go back to MLB, but I'm excited because when the Bucks lose, Titletown will be crying. He's going to be slurping them the whole way through. I'm just going to say, all right. I mean, you're expected to win the East, Titletown. We'll see what happens in the finals.
We'll win the East.
Definitely not. But let's go on. Let's start talking about the hitters. We're going to go to stacks. And while we're stacking them up, we're going to go to each game by game. And then we'll talk about guys in between that are good cash game plays and all of that. We got the Chicago White Sox. We got the Kansas City Royals. Let's go to you first, JT. How are you approaching this game? Because this game has a 10.5 total.
Yeah, there are pieces of both offenses I like. You've got Kansas City, which is going to do a quasi-opener. Bolanos is going to pitch probably 2 innings. Maybe he goes a third. So you can cross him off your starting pitcher option list. On the other side is Gio Gonzalez. Gio hasn't had a deep outing. I think his last outing was around 3 innings, so I don't know how deep I expect him to go. And there's some guys on Kansas City like Merrifield, Soler, even Salvador Perez, who hit lefties very well. I don't know that I'm going to full stack Kansas City just because there's just so many other spots tonight. I think it's 11 game now slate, and there's probably 4 or 5 that I like. What I'll say is, Kansas City is going to be low owned. White Sox are going to come in around 10%. I like the idea of going back to the White Sox. They're not my top stack tonight, but they're in my top 5. I do like the option of going to these guys when we're going to get 7, 8, 6, 7 innings of that Kansas City bullpen. See if they could do better than they did last night. So there are pieces of both teams that I like, but clearly I've got other options up top.
Yep, I don't disagree. How about you, Titletown? Are these guys, I mean, we've been mixing in the Royals a bit in cash games. Are we mixing them in a bit here again?
I don't think we mix in the Royals right now. We're playing Smiley, so there's not really a need to get the Royals. I like targeting Coors. On FanDuel, if you want to play Glasnow or Carrasco up top, the White Sox are just too cheap, and they're in a really good spot. So I like they're one of my top stacks if you're not able to get Coors bat and want to go pay up at pitching and be different that way. On DraftKings, they're priced a little better, so I'm not as crazy on them. But they're going to come in at lower ownership over there as well. So I like the White Sox. I like the top of the order more with Roberts, Mancata, Grindal. On FanDuel, you might find yourself needing to one-off at the first base position since it's not great, and you can play Edwin or Grindal. So White Sox are in a good spot. I like them, but not going to go out of my way to try and stack them up in cash.
Yeah, I think I agree with you on that. Let's head on over to the next game. We got the Boston Red Sox. We got the New York Yankees. JT, we'll go to you next. And we talk about it all the time, like play this Yankees offense, right? They're good at baseball. They get to go against Zach Godley here, and that Red Sox bullpen's not great. So Yankee stack, are they going to be a good pivot off of Coors today?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely going to have some exposure to the Yankees. I think they put out an interesting lineup with Tauchman, I think, is in the 6 hole at 2-8. But it's Judge, it's Gleiber, Stanton. I mean, this is an offense that there are some players I think that just stack it every night. You could do that. Their prices are not awful tonight, certainly lower than Coors. So it's a good spot. Boston, I don't have too much interest in, even though Tanaka's another guy. Cross him off your starting pitching list. He's not expected to go deep in this game. But the Yankees bullpen, especially with Chapman now back at the back end, I mean, I don't have any interest in Boston tonight.
All right, Titletown, how about you? This Red Sox, this Yankees game, is this one that you're going to be loading up on?
Yeah, I like the Yankees. Again, it's tough with Coors because I usually prioritize Coors. I'm just the chalk donkey that I am, so Coors just always sticks out. So Yankees fall behind them, so I won't be stacking them in cash. But I find myself on FanDuel, they're a little too cheap. I mean, Glaber at 3.4 is too cheap. Stanton 4K, Luke Voigt 3K, Tauchman 2.2. So if I need to complete my lineup, I like going to Yankees because they are underpriced. In tournaments, I like full stacking them because Coors will take a lot of ownership. Yankees will still get ownership because they're still good plays, but Coors will definitely limit it. And on DraftKings, I like stacking them as well for the same reasons. They aren't priced as cheap as they are on FanDuel, but Yankees got a good lineup. I stack them a lot, top to bottom. They can put up a lot of runs, so I'll definitely have some Yankees. And I'm not too high on the Red Sox either.
The one thing else about the Yankees, I don't mind their price tags today, especially on DraftKings. Like, I think you can like mix and match a guy here and there. Like DJ LeMahieu's only 4.2K.
Well,
That's not a bad
Tauchman's really
price.
cheap, and yeah, they're not.
But the thing is, like, if you go cheap at pitcher, like, you just have the ability to get those guys in. Even in, like, cash games, I noticed, like, you can kind of just, like, fall on him. So that's if you go, like, the super cheap pitcher route. Torres still 4.4, so it's a cheaper those are some cheaper, prices on him. Even Aaron Judge, like, 4.6 on Aaron Judge is a cheap price tag. So I thought I'd just, point that out on DraftKings specifically. Let's go over to the Astros and the Angels game. And JT, this is a 9 total here. And you talked about the LA and the shadows. So break this down. How are you handling that with the hitters?
Yeah, I like I said, I don't think I'm going to have any Greinke. I like the idea of playing a little bit of Griffin Canning in tournaments, 5-7% of lineups, just because low ownership, 8-7 is not a bad price tag for him. If he could get 20, that'd be fantastic. The idea of stacking the Angels up a little bit at their prices, mixing them with either the Rockies or the Padres, has started to appeal to me more the more I've looked at it. I mean, Goodwin I talked about yesterday being too cheap in the 2-hole. He homered. I hadn't been impressed with Greinke. His velocity was down. And, the lineup isn't great, but you've still got guys that are cheap that are going to come in at, for LA, like 2-3% ownership. So if you mix them in with your core stacks, one of your core stacks, you're automatically going to be a little bit different. And if they, can get you 10 or 15 points at those prices, that's pretty good. So I like the Angels a little bit, and I'll be mixing them in where I want to play the Rockies, and I like Canning a little bit.
How about you, Titletown? Any interest in this one?
No, I don't have too much interest in this one. Sorry, one of the fighters just got scratched due to COVID. It's going to be in an hour, so I was looking at that, but no interest in that one. I'm going to have to alert Discord. Whoever's playing MMA, just be aware for that in Discord, but no interest in that game.
All right, no worries. Do obviously do that in Discord, and if you can update you'll update the playbook and everything. If you don't know, Titletown, he does the he does the MMA playbook. He does the core plays as well. So he'll be over there doing that. If you guys haven't played it, check it out. Titletown, who is the guy who got scratched? What's his name so the people can know who are watching?
Mirror Shark got scratched against Herman.
All right, so I'm guessing the whole fight is probably gone, right? Is that correct?
I can only imagine that. Yeah, there's no way they're going to find a replacement of Slate. So now we're down to 9 fights. Whew. I mean, monster prize pool still on DraftKings, so I'm still 150 in it, but it's definitely interesting slate.
Split City.
Yeah,
right.
Oh, that's for sure.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be those, no doubt, in my mind. Let's talk about this one, though. Let's talk about this next game, and I'll go to you, JT, while Titletown's making all those updates and stuff. Cleveland Indians, we got the Minnesota Twins, and this is Carrasco against Maeda, and these aren't pitchers we typically pick on, but we have two offenses that have really good bats, right? And this Twins offense is an offense you could play any day. They're similar to the Yankees. Lower total though at 4.5. So what do you want to do here with the Twins?
Yeah, Maeda is sort of a thorn in my side just because of his inconsistency. At 9K, I don't know how much I'm going to have of him, but I don't know how much I'm going to have of Cleveland either. I mean, the Minnesota spot is one that intrigues me because I think Carrasco is going to be a little bit higher owned, and I talked about a little bit early about worrying about his consistency with his last start being his first start in a couple of years. So I might take some shots on Minnesota. I don't know that I'll have overall too much exposure to this game. It just doesn't excite me.
Yeah, listen, I'll take up the cash for Tyler. I'm sure he's making some updates for this one, but this is a game you just don't really want to play too much of. I think it's a bad idea. If you do it, maybe it's like a guy here and there is like a one-off, as like a home run guy, but I don't think this is a game you typically want to target. I know Titletown's probably not really interested in this game. Let's head on over to the next one. And JT, I'll go back to you. New York Mets, Atlanta Braves, 10.5 total. And, that game, it went crazy last night and for good reason. I think we kind of had, an idea that it would, get a little out of control. I know the Mets side was a little more shocking with Newcomb. I forget if you were on, which side were you on for that, JT? Were you on the side it was going to go crazy or not?
Yeah, I wrote it up as a Mets play based on Newcomb's lack of control and the lack of confidence that Snicker has in him, and that worked out pretty well. But I also said you could game stack it, and I had a couple of game stacks to that game with pretty poor pitching, but it worked out well. It got me to cash. I don't know if we're going to see 21 runs tonight. Waka and Toussaint, two guys that I'm probably not going to pitch and not going to have in my lineups, but also two guys that can probably limit the damage a little bit more than Newcomb and Porcello last night. And I think they'll have a little bit of rope because I do think those bullpens got worked. I actually happen to be down at the Battery, can't get in the stadium and in the environment they're seeing that game. But it's a game where I think you could play both sides. Obviously, Atlanta's prices are very expensive. And I think you can, if you're playing them to get a relatively low ownership. On the Mets side, against Toussaint, those lefties at the top, McNeil, Nimmo, Conforto, I'll have exposure to both offenses. They're not primary for me tonight like the Mets were last night.
Yeah, I agree with you. I do think there's some good sides to attack, though. One side I'll say is I looked at Toussaint. I looked at some of his splits, and he really struggles against lefties. Yeah. Like lefties, man, they could really beat him up. So like Nemo, McNeil, Conforto, Robbie Cano. Listen, I don't like Robbie Cano. He is in the 5-hole, so that's a little better spot. But ultimately, I think those Mets lefties are good. And on the Braves side, you have to like those Braves. I think those, some of those bats, the Freddie Freemans of the world, the Acuñas, if you go super cheap, you can afford them. So I think they're a great stack. Titletown, do you have any interest in this game, or did I cover it enough for you?
Yeah, you pretty much hit it. I like the call with the Mets lefties. This game's not going to be. It's a good game to target, but it's definitely not going to be owned enough because of Coors and the Yankees and stuff. So I like it for a low-owned game stack too. You'll be very unique, and this game definitely can blow up. Braves are expensive. That's the one downside. But if you go two cheaper pitchers, game stack this game, you're going to be unique. So I like I like doing that in tournaments for large field.
Yeah, think that makes a think that makes a ton of sense. Let's go on over to the next game. And JT, it's the Rays, it's the Orioles, and the Rays have a decent implied total against Wade LeBlanc. I know you talked about playing him a little bit just because you're trying to punt the pitcher and make something happen, but are the Rays stacks something you can look at as well?
Yeah, I think the Rays are definitely in play because of that Baltimore bullpen. You saw that they got to Cobb last night. LeBlanc is a guy that just at 4-4, he is probably one of the pitchers on that rotation that's going to be allowed to have the opportunity to go 5 or 6 innings. And look, these guys aren't going to hit 3-4 home runs every night. So it's just because I don't love any of the mid-tier pitchers so much to go 40-50% on those. It's a guy like LeBlanc who gets picked on a lot, right? You're going to play the Tampa Bay side in this, but there are nights where he goes out and he gets 15 ground balls and 2 strikeouts and a pop-up, and, he does okay. At 4-4, I mean, God, if he gives you 15 points, you're in GPP winning range, right? So I'll take some shots on him. I like the Tampa side. Obviously, Renfroe is a guy who does real well against lefties. Jose Martinez, although his price a little higher than I like to pay for him, given his volatility. But certainly, you can play both sides of this in different lineups. I don't know that I'll have exposure to the Orioles. The guy who won a lot last night, and one of our guys one of our members actually took a shot on a 1% Orioles lineup that worked out well. I don't know that I'll be going there tonight though, but never a bad idea. They're going to be around the same ownership.
JT, there's another stack that's going to be 1% owned, and I believe it's the Seattle Mariners. Any interest?
I had a Mariners stack last night. Tonight, I don't know. I tell you what, Mike Fiers, J.P. Crawford is leading off. He's a guy that I love. I love his game. And Fiers is a guy that doesn't hold runners on all that well. So we'll talk about that game in a little bit, I guess, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was just going back to my reference of, snitches get stitches, and Mike Fiers gets blown up today. It's more fun. It's a fun narrative. Again, I'm joking. Don't like going on the Mariners, guys. That's probably not the move to do. But listen, I play cash games, but I'm going to make one small dollar entry. I'm going to make sure, like this $15 slugger, 100K to first. I am going to build a Mariner stack just for the narrative of the show. Why not? I'm just going to do it, and it'll be fun. We'll see how it goes. I'll build it once we get there. Titletown, over to you. Rays, Orioles. Any interest in them in some of your cash games or in tournaments?
No interest in the Orioles for either. And for the Rays on FanDuel, they're priced really well. If you want to get Glasnow again, they're one of the top stacks because their pricing just lets you get 1 through 4, 1 through 5, or you only can stack 4, but any of the top 5 guys, 4-man stack in a really good spot with a good implied total. I wouldn't be shocked if they were one of the leading run scorers on this slate. So give me 1 through 5, 1 through 6. I do like Renfroe. I wish he was hitting in the 4 hole. Disappointed when I saw that, but that's going to even lower his ownership even more. So definitely don't leave out Renfroe. It's probably going to homer. I don't like Zunino Margot Wendell. Not a bottom of the order lineup that I like to stack.
I like the Renfroe call. That's a guy I definitely looked at a little bit. I think he's a pretty intriguing option. So don't hate that at all. I think you can mix and match some of them, but just be a little careful. Obviously the weather, stay tuned for that. We'll be giving our expert radar takes in Discord chat, of course. What do we got? We got 135 people watching the show and 61 likes. So guys, we're gonna give away a t-shirt for only 77 likes. So this is a cakewalk. Come on, you can easily get that and make that happen. Hit the like button. We'll give a t-shirt away to anyone who comments in the chat. The plan is gonna be you type something in the chat and we'll make a scroll. And once we scroll and pick a random person, you'll be the winner. So the more you type in the chat, the better chance you have. Don't spam it though. Don't be the guy putting 100 messages. We don't want that many, but organically let it happen, right? That's the best way for it to go. So 63 likes, hopefully we can get that up to 77, and then we can give away some swag at the end of the show. Let's go on to the next game. We will do the Padres and the Rockies, and JT, 12.5 total. And it's Coors. You got to always love Coors. It's always a good time. So tell me what you're doing here with the Coors slate.
Yeah, this game, especially with Lucchese's had for the most part trouble in Coors. Gives up just too many fly balls. Freeland's been okay, but we saw last night those bullpens are not very good on either side. And I think, again, same as last night. Last night I went a little bit more on the Rockies just because they were showing about half the ownership. Tonight they're showing about half the ownership again. But I do like these Padres. I do like the lineup. I like, obviously, the offensive environment. And so I'm going to have quite a bit of exposure to both of these teams. And like I said, there's enough value in some of these other good hitting spots. And certainly if you go low at pitcher where you can get, I don't know about 5-man stack any of these on DK. I'll probably stick to 4s, but I like the idea of running. And you've got on the Rocky side, Chris Owings. He's in the 8-hole, I think, but he's 3K at second base. And so you can go Arenado, Story, Owings, and Kemp and run it back with Pham, which I like to do. And you can make that lineup fairly easily. You could struggle. You'd be a little bit harder to get Tatis in there as well. But this game, to me, these two teams at Coors have had a lot of high-scoring affairs. I think it's primarily due to weak pitching. And the pitching on both sides is not any better this year than it has been in the past. So I like this spot tonight.
All right, Titletown, you're the cash game guy. Talk to me about this game. I'm sure you're going to be loaded up on it. Who are some of your favorite plays on each side as well for cash game?
Yeah, so I like this game a lot. Going back to the Padres is my favorite stack, so I'll have more of them. I like going right down the line. Tatis, Machado, Pham, Profar. Those are my favorite. Will Myers is also good, batting 5th. Don't mind the bottom of the order, but it's not somewhere I'm going to really target. I definitely think the top of the order is a lot better. I'll eat the higher ownership, but that's what I like more. And then on the Rockies, yeah, Matt Kemp sticks out as a good value play. No, Arenado and Story against lefties at Coors are always lock and loads, 2 of the best plays on the slate. So I'm going to try and fit in as many as I can. That's why I like going Smiley on FanDuel, and then Smiley and probably Glasnow if the weather holds up and you can still get enough Coors bets.
All righty, that makes a ton of sense. You gotta like these guys. Like I said, Tatis, Machado, those are 2 of the best in this game. On the opposite side, like Arenado, he might be my favorite if you have to pick one on that side. It's a loaded lineup. One guy I mentioned too is a Titletown, and I want to get your interest on him, Matt Kemp. He's like 2.7K on FanDuel. What's your thoughts on him? Because he seems like a pretty good, salary saver down there.
Yeah, I briefly mentioned him. He's probably my favorite Rocky due to price, batting 5th. You can one-off him for sure. Anyone in Coors that, it doesn't matter who the name is. If you're batting in the top half of the lineup and you're cheap and you're at Coors, you're going to get played. So Kemp for sure, that's just a mispriced and expected in the lineup there, I guess. So I'll have a lot of Kemp.
All righty, let's head over to the next game. We got the Dodgers. We got the Diamondbacks. And this is a decent total here. 9.5 isn't bad. Do you have any interest in these guys in GPPs, JT?
Yeah, in the Dodgers a little bit. Anytime the Dodgers, one of those high offensive output teams, are going to be less than 5%, I'm going to have interest. They look to come in around 4% today. Luke Weaver is a decent pitcher, more of a prospect at this point. I don't expect the Dodgers to get shut down 2 nights in a row. And, I'm definitely going to have some of the Dodgers. Urias is a good enough pitcher, and that bullpen is, usually pretty good. I know the Rockies got to them a little bit last night, but the Diamondbacks got them a little bit last night. But I don't have a ton of interest in the Diamondbacks, but I definitely have some interest in the Dodgers.
Yeah, and listen, why do you have interest in the Dodgers? Well, because they're one of the best lineups in the league. They're just so good. They're one of the World Series favorites. So, Titletown, how about you? Dodger stack, I know you like that offense every night. Is tonight a night you're going to like him again?
Yeah, you pretty much just hit it. There's certain teams that I always stack pretty much regardless of the matchup. And the Dodgers are one of them. So I'll always get someone playing multiple lineups. Today's no different. Want to full stack them sometimes. Any day they can be the highest scoring team on the slate. And this lineup's just so good. They're going to come in behind the Yankees, behind Coors. So there's no better time to jump on the Dodgers at lower ownership with this lineup. So right back in it in tournaments.
Yeah, and speaking of so good, you have no idea how good, if you keep seeing me look to the right, you have no idea how good this revenge snitches get stitches stack is looking, JT. It is looking beautiful. I mean, it's golden. We'll talk about it when we get there. But let's talk about this next game, because I honestly think that, it's an interesting spot here. I mean, we talked about it yesterday, JT. The Cubs, right? They have an over 5 implied total, and they get Mitch Keller. And both these pitchers, they're supposed to be decent. But again, an over 5 total for a Cubs offense that can, hit it out the park. Are they a team in tournaments you want to go to?
I don't know if it lands within the top 6 or 7 offensive spots for me tonight. I know, the total is high, but I do have interest in Keller. The Cubs are another team that you could stack on any given night. This spot just stands out to me as, a little bit less appealing than some of the others. And, even as far as one-offs, I wouldn't really want to target. The one guy in this game that I would think about as a one-off is actually on the Pittsburgh side. Colin Moran, he had another home run last night. He's been hitting the ball. I think he's got a 74% hard hit rate since the season started. He's just been mashing. He's 3-1 on DK. You're going to have to play him at first or third, which is what probably makes it a little bit more difficult because there's so many other good options. But if you wanted to get Coors and if you wanted to get higher end pitchers, that's a one-off that could do it for you. But I just, like I said last night, I should have more interest in the Cubs, but I just don't tonight.
Yeah, I'm with you. There's probably just better offenses. I'm just wondering what Vegas is thinking with this total, and especially with the wind blowing in too. Titletown, any reason to mix and match any Cubs or Pirates in your lineups?
No, I'm with you guys. I don't know why the Cubs total is so big either. I was wondering the same thing. One of our guys that run Pure Bets, he gave out a free play on Twitter. He liked Pittsburgh. It was Joey Work. He liked Pittsburgh first 5 for plus 135 or something like that. I got it at plus 155. The Run Pure Bets guy is really sharp. Go check him out over there. But yeah, he didn't agree with the Cubs really either. Mitch Keller is actually pretty good. So I'm going to stay away from this spot. Hopefully catch that bet at plus money and avoid it for DFS.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of Joey Work, he's on a heater. I don't know if you know, he's winning every day. He's winning every game. It's insane what he's been doing. So head over to Run Pure Bets and get his play of the day. I already put some money on it. Not his free play. He actually has like one that you have to pay for. He probably gave the free one out, but he has another one as well. And I'll say this. You know how hot he is, JT? He had the Braves yesterday. He had the Braves, and then I'm sitting there with some of the keg guys. We were kind of sweating some of the games. I was sitting in StreamYard with them, hanging out, and they were like, Joey's finally going to lose. Like they were definitely not happy. And then, all of a sudden the Braves, the Undertaker gift, they pop up and Joey Work got it done still. It didn't matter. The Mets blew it and the Braves won and kept the streak alive.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing, you guys mentioned it, right? That he likes that Pirates first 5. Chapman's a guy who's struggled with consistency as well. And he had a really good outing last outing. For me, a lot of times what I like to do is not go back to that pitcher, but take the other side. And I think in this game, especially with the lefties, like I mentioned, Colin Moran, Josh Bell, they're cheap. It's an intriguing play, certainly to in Pittsburgh, as far as stacks, they're going to come in at, maybe 0.5%, 1% owned. So they're another team. Yeah, that's one of the things I'm going to do tonight. Like I talked about with the Angels a little bit, the Pirates, there's some other, cheaper teams, maybe even the Rays. You toss them in with the Padres and the Rockies, and I like that quite a bit tonight.
Yeah, now that you mentioned it, now that we're talking through it more, because I'm not too high on Chatwood either. I think Vegas, a lot of recency bias. If you're playing the big $15 tournament, throwing one entry in, and you want that 100K, you can't be playing the chalk Coors and Smiley and all that. I really like that Pittsburgh call at really low ownership. Don't go crazy. If you go 5%, that could be 10 times over the field. So don't go crazy like that. But low own, no one's going to play them. I do like that call.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, if you're playing one in the $15 Titletown, you can play the Padres. You can play Drew Smiley because you can play the Seattle Mariners. The snitches get stitches stack. We're at that game. Let's go to you, JT. We got Oakland, we got Seattle, and you talked about Fires a little bit, how you liked him. I get it, obviously. This Oakland A's team, again, they're similar to the Cubs, similar team total, and against a guy like Kikuchi and some power righties. Any interest in Seattle? My crazy stack right now is the wonky play, or the A's that could boom here against Kikuchi.
Yeah, so my interest in Fires comes down to the relative lack of other options on the slate at their prices. And, 8K is still a little bit too expensive for him, but I do think that there's some swing and miss here. He's a fly ball pitcher, and there's not a ton of power on this Seattle team. There's some prospects that are pretty good. I talked about Crawford a little bit, but I like Fires' opportunity tonight at that price. I do like Oakland, and I've been playing a lot of Oakland. I'm probably about 50% hit rate. Last night it was not on that. It did not go off as I expected them to. But Kikuchi's a guy who, the reason why the Mariners sign him, the reason why he does well sometimes in that park, is he's a fly ball pitcher, and fly balls don't always carry. But with this Oakland team, they've got a lot of right-handed power. Matt Olson is a guy in the middle of the order who hits left-handers well, and he hits left-handers for power well. So I don't think Kikuchi is a terrible play to throw 5% on. He's not. I mean, he's had like literally 2 good games. I mean, great games, I should say. And then the others are, they're okay. He gets you 10, 12 points. Sometimes he gets you through. So I like this Oakland team a bit. I'm going to definitely have some exposure to the Oakland side of this as well as Fires. And like I said, Fires, we talked about this last night, right? I'm not playing him because I love the guy or because I think he's going to go out and throw a no-hitter. It's simply because that price, can he get me 20 points? And I think Oakland gets the win.
Okay, how about you, Titletown? Are you on board with me? Are you going to put one in the $15 and ship it, or am I taking it all alone, Titletown?
You're taking it all alone. If I do that, I'm going to the Pirates. So you're alone on that one. But going to this game, I mean, I've been on Oakland almost every day too. I like the late games, always under-owns, good lineup. I don't love them as much today. Kikuchi's actually pretty solid. I mean, he was looking like Randy Johnson out there against the Astros his last start for the first couple innings, and then it really caught up to him and he got back to normal. But he has stuff. He throws hard. I don't mind taking some shots on him in tournaments too. I didn't mention it'll be really low owned, so don't go crazy. But yeah, I don't like the A's as much. I think this game stays under, and I'm not going to pick on Kikuchi today. There's better offenses on this slate.
All right. What do you want to do here with this last game, JT? 8.5 total, lowest on the slate. Are we just out on the Texas Rangers and Giants, these 2 lame duck offenses?
No, no. And the reason why we're not, at least for me in tournaments, is if 45% ownership for Drew Smyly, I have to stack against them. I have to, even though this Texas team isn't very good. Lineup's not good. Smyly can strike guys out. It's really the how long is he going to be allowed to go and what comes in after him. On the San Francisco side, Dickerson and Yastrzemski and Dickerson, the top 2 lefties there. Jordan Lyles is a guy who had he had a good season last year. They signed him to a nice contract, and then they skipped him in his first start in the rotation. So I'm not sure exactly what's up there. I think Lyles is going to get a little bit of ownership today. But as far as the San Fran, I'm going to mix in Yaz and Dickerson as one-offs. They're just 2 guys that I love. Yaz went off the other night, Dickerson too. They hit right-handers well, and Lyles is a guy who I'm not particularly worried about when it comes to these 2 talented kids. So not full stacks, but those 2 guys at the top I'm going to mix in.
All right, how about you, Titletown? What do you want to do with this game? Is it a full fade?
Yeah, it's a full fade for me. But if you're playing tournaments like JT said, this is the perfect time to stack Texas, because if everyone is on Smyly, as much as I said all in, I love Smyly. I mean, that was a little too much hype for the guy. He's not that great. He has a lot of downside. Just how the slate works with this price and Coors, why I'm saying all in and stuff. But no, do I feel confident putting the bankroll on Smyly? No, you never will. It's just how it works. So Texas, I like that call. going to be very low owned. I don't love Texas though. That's why I can't go crazy on it. You can maybe lefty Gallo. That's going to be very low owned. He's got power, hoping either get to the bullpen. I mean, that's really what you're hoping for, I think. Kapler takes him out early, get to see a lot of the bullpen, and they just get it rolling there. So I like getting tournaments for low ownership. Don't have most of your lineups with Texas though.
All right, let's head on over. Let's do our top stacks. We just talked about, but let's give our top 3 stacks now. And guys, we're at 76 likes with 151 people watching. Like, what's going on? We got to get more likes here. We're giving away swag, and we're giving that away at 77. So we just need one more. We want more than that. And listen, I'll say this: if you could shoot, we have 150 watching. If you could shoot that thing up to, I'll say 110. We'll give a second one away, but I'm setting the bar high. So we're at 77. If you can get it to 110 by the end of the show, we will give away, a second one as well. All you got to do, comment in the chat, and we'll pick the person there. JT, give me your 3 favorite stacks.
Yeah, I'm gonna stay away from Coors because obviously I'm playing those 2. So behind them, I'm gonna have the White Sox. I'm gonna have the Dodgers, and I'm maxing the 15. I may go 10-15% with Pittsburgh.
All right, Titletown, give me your top.
Yeah, I can't wait to see JT. You win all the money on Draftkings when Pittsburgh goes off. I'm with you on there. I like that as my favorite leverage too. But outside of Coors, because that's my favorite as well. Well, I do like Padres more than Rockies with Coors, but I'll go Yankees, Dodgers, and gonna go Rays.
Yeah, Coors is my favorite too, but we'll take Coors off, right? We don't have to include that in there. I would say my favorite. I'd say the Brave side is probably my favorite stack of the day. If you force me to pick one that's not Coors, second favorite, I will go with. I'll go with those Mets lefties. We'll stay in that game. I think there's still a ton of upside there. And then third, we are going with the Snitches Get Stitches stack because Mike Fiers, he can't get away with it. First night out, he is going to get crushed by who else? The worst team in the league, the Seattle Mariners. But it's baseball. You can play whoever. I mean, the Seattle Mariners, they're going to be my off the radar, off the board stack. Watch out. Now let's go over to home run calls. JT, give me your 3 home runs of the day.
Yeah, I think at the top it's got to be Nolan Arenado. Facing a lefty at home in Coors, I'll go with him. Colin Moran against Chatwood, I talked about him a little bit. And then at the low end, you know what I'm going to do for you, Mangone? I'm going to go back to my guy Sean Murphy from Oakland. If he gets in the lineup, he's going to go yard tonight. He's going to make it all back from it.
Oh, man. So did Sean Murphy, I assume my DMs weren't flooded with T-shirt requests. I'm guessing Sean Murphy didn't get it done last night?
No. It was a bad night for Oakland. It was a bad night for Oakland. So they're gonna come back tonight. I feel it.
Yeah. All right. And so real quick, so we got people in the chat. They're asking Bucks versus the field. I'll make a bet with you if you want to make a bet, but I know they're going to win the East. They're going to win the East. They're the favorite. I'm not going to bet against them to win the East unless you're giving me crazy odds like I can get at a sports book, plus 700 on the Sixers, which is a real, odds. So if you want to give me those, we can talk, but you probably don't want to give me those odds. All right. Titletown, give me your 3 favorite home run calls.
I'll go Story. JT took Arenado. I'll go Story for the easy one. Masters lefties, same reason. I'm going to go Hunter Renfroe. I like him a lot today. Wish he was batting a little higher in the order, but I like him. And then I'm going to say Edwin Encarnacion for my 3rd.
All righty. I will give you my home runs. I'm going to say in that Padres game, I would go with I'm obviously going to take Machado here. I mean, it's just too hard not to be going with him. I'm going to take one of these. Actually, I'll take Freddie Freeman. I like Freddie Freeman a lot to hit one out against Waka. I think that's a good spot. I'm going to give you a 4. I'll also give you Conforto. And one last one. I'm going to give you a double home run special. JT, do you know who it is? Do you know what game it's from? It's Kyle Lewis against Mike Fiers. We know Mike Fiers, if he does have issues, it's against righties. So Kyle Lewis, double homers against Mike Fiers. How's that sound, JT?
Man, that's you got to do something for the people. If they roster Kyle Lewis and they show it to you, they have to get a shirt for that, because that's not as deep as Sean Murphy, but I like it. I like it.
Do they have to hit 2 home runs or 1? How many does he have to hit for him to be?
I mean, that's up to you. I would be satisfied with 1, but it depends on your interest.
Okay. We'll go with this. We'll just go 1 home run from Kyle Lewis. If you happen to roster him, let's say he's in your lineup, you send me a DM. I'll pick someone to give, swag to. I'll give you, T-shirt. I'll give you a hat as well. I'll give you both. How's that sound? Because, like I said before, JT, I'm running this ship right now. So we're going to give both of those if Kyle Lewis hits a home run and you happen to roster him. Any final thoughts, Titletown? What do you think? Break down the final thoughts on the slate.
Yeah, so it's Smiley for me on both sites. Keep an eye on weather. If it's good, I like Glass now for DraftKings, my second one. Going to be targeting Coors. I'm leaning the Padres side, but both sides are good. Like the Yankees is my next favorite stack for tournaments. Dodgers always get some. The leverage low owned Padres. JT and I are both on that one. Or not Padres, sorry, Pittsburgh. We're both on that one, so that's my low own. I will be after the show. I'll be messing with my MMA script, doing that stuff, finishing MLB lineups. So I'll try and get in Discord when I can. MMA, I'll probably be in more, letting you guys know what's going on. But enjoy your Saturday. Sports are officially back with NBA, MLB, MMA. It's a good time to make some money. So we hope we run Pier.
Yeah, it's a good time to make some money. Head on over to Run Pure Sports and Run Pure Bets, which is already launched. Sign up over there and, let's start winning all of that money. Also wanted to mention the Sports Keg. If you're watching right now, they're going to be going live on our Run Pure Bets YouTube stream. So head on over there if you want to sweat the fights with them. They're going to be sweating basketball, baseball as well, I'm sure. And they'll be giving out free winners as well. So let's say that let's say, what's this Run Pure Bets thing? I don't know much about it. Head on over to Run Pure Bets YouTube account and they'll be giving winners tonight. And if they win you a bunch of money tonight, JT, what do you do with that? What do you do with all that money you won? You got to subscribe, correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you got to go over there. Check that out, guys, over on Run Pure Bets. They'll be sweating the fights all night long and all of the contests. Baseball, basketball, it's going to be a fun night. I'm excited. Hope you guys are excited. We got to get on out of here. For me, Mangone, JT, and Titletown, we're out of here.